I was actually born in Hanover, the old hospital. Not sure how much that dates me. I had a birthday a couple days ago, and it was just kind of neat driving up the hill. And I'm like, I get to go back to DGMC, and 31 years ago, I was born there, and I just dated myself. Well, I'm proud of my age. So I do the sport of triathlon, swimming, biking, and running. And the distances, it's about a mile swim. It's about a 25-mile bike and a 10-kilometer, 6.2-mile run. And I actually finished 4th at the Olympics, which is a really awesome position to finish. Thank you, thank you. Thanks. But it's also really painful. I've heard from other 4th-place finishers that you'll lie there in bed feeling like, what could I have done differently? But the truth is, it's more what you do right. And years and years of hard work. I know Hannah would have probably said the same exact thing. It's finding that consistency over time. And whether that's, you're somebody who likes to play tennis on the weekends, or, you're an Olympic athlete, the more time you can spend actively doing what you love and avoid injury, the better you're going to get at whatever your pursuit is. So I was born in Hanover. My family moved away to Cooperstown, New York, an even smaller town, about 2,000 people. I was pretty fortunate that I could swim, bike, and run, and play pond hockey, and do whatever. I did every sport under the sun, which I think actually helped me develop to be a pretty robust kid. Being a small town athlete, one of the benefits is that you're not locked in like you see some of the big towns. They have these really well-developed programs. Michael Phelps' program of sorts, where from yay high, they're doing double sessions. They're putting in miles in the pool that you can't even believe of. They're basically doing the program that very similar to programs what they're going to be doing in their 20s. Needless to say, not many people make it through to the point where they're in their 20s. Or 30s, and still able to compete. I really do attribute my ability to improve every year to having that just well-rounded backgrounds. This talk is specifically about shoulder injuries, and at first I was saying I don't really have that much to personally contribute about shoulder injuries because I've never had a shoulder injury. Well, I think that's actually pretty telling that I've never had a shoulder injury. I've never had a major injury in my career. As an athlete, a high school athlete, as a collegiate swimmer, I swam at Middlebury College. And, as a full-time professional athlete, the only major injury I've ever gotten is when I've fallen off my bike, but no overuse injuries. And all 3 of those sports, swimming, biking, and running, there's this mindset that you just go out there and you do a lot of miles, mile after mile, and you do see these chronic overuse injuries that develop. You see them even in high schoolers in that age. If things aren't addressed properly at a young age, it's just going to continue to be this problem that athletes continue to run up against. So I was thinking, what do I have to contribute to this? And really, I think I can help in some ways with the shoulder injury. I'm not an expert in the subject, but I am in some ways an expert of what we call prehabbing. I think there's this mindset in sports in this country where you get an injury and then you address it. Now, where I come from it is, okay, well, that's great, but you lose all that time. Every single time you have to stop from your swimming, biking, running in my case, and you have to address an injury. That's time that you aren't building and developing. This is a multi-year process. You're not coming out of the womb as an Olympian. It takes years and years to get to the point where you can be competitive. So what we do in what we call prehabbing is, you address whatever instabilities or muscular imbalances that you might have, and you're also trying to see, Okay, for example, with swimming, there are a lot of rotator cuff injuries. I've never had a rotator cuff injury, but that's because I prehab. You know, I spend, before I get in the pool, I spend 10, 15 minutes, you know, doing exercises every single day. We're talking years of this. And it doesn't get any more exciting with time, trust me. But it's something I know that if I don't do it, then that could be a couple weeks out of the pool. And I can't afford it. So yeah, I don't particularly like standing there, you know, on the pool deck with my bathing suit on, you know, doing my exercises. But I know that it makes me a more robust individual. I'm more able to handle whatever increases in volume that I might need down the road. I completely got off topic with the Olympics. But yeah, I guess I should address that a little bit, because that's probably more interesting than what I do day to day for some of you. I mean, the Olympics, absolutely incredible experience. At first, I just thought it felt like a normal event. You know, a lot of cameras everywhere, and there's a lot of buzz, because we weren't in the athlete village in the lead up to the race. But then you realize there are hundreds of thousands of people on the race course, because there's one of the few free events, and there are flags everywhere. And whether or not that person actually knows anything about your sport, or they're just kind of a fan for the next 2 hours of their life, they are deeply invested in what you're doing. And you realize behind every camera, that information is getting transmitted all around the world. Millions of people are watching this race. So you realize, okay, I always race these girls. This course, it's the same distance I always do. But then it just puts it into context that, you know, you're walking closing ceremonies and hanging out with your new best buds. I mean, on my ends, I was best buds with these people. I'm like, hey, Lolo, you were 4th too. You know, this is pretty awesome. She wasn't too impressed. I actually got a photo with her, and I'm like, yeah, 4th. And she's just looking at me, and I'm like, what are you doing? Anyway, we're friends now, I swear. Yeah, so it was an absolutely incredible experience. I could talk for hours about it, but I know there's a surgery to attend to. It went over in a blink of an eye, but it took years and years to get there. You know, obviously I would have loved to be standing here with a medal. But to go into the race, you know, I was kind of a dark horse of sorts where, you know, a few people believed that I was capable of getting a medal. But here's the thing about the Olympics. Anything can happen. And, you know, I actively put myself in a position to fight for a medal. My goal a year out from the games was, you know, I'd qualified. I knew I was going to be coming back in a year. My goal was, with 1 kilometer to go, I want to be in the mix. And I didn't know if that was going to be 20 people. I didn't know if that was going to be 5 people. I just want to be in the mix. And, you know, I dropped off the pace on the run a little bit, and I'm watching these girls up ahead. I'm like, wait a second. That's my race. That's my dream right there. You know, 1 year ago, I said I was going to be up there. And I don't know how I managed to bridge that gap. You know, I've had people from, I don't know if Sebastian Coe rings a bell with anybody, but Sebastian Coe, he's this legend in running, came up to me after the race. It's like, you know, of all the run races I've ever seen, that sort of stuff is not supposed to happen. What you did is not supposed to happen. But I guess you just kind of take the bull by the horns when you can, and that was a pretty good opportunity for me to do that. Yeah, so 1K to go, I'm looking around after I'd bridged the gap, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 girls. There's a finish line with 3 medals. I better be in that mix. I better be in that 3. You know, somebody's got to finish 4th, right? I wasn't one of the 3 with the medals, but it was pretty special nonetheless. Okay, in the interest of time, thank you.